Year 7 and welcome to this video lesson on foreboding with Rhys. It's Mrs. Wallet. Today what we're going to be looking at is what foreboding is. We're then going to follow that by looking at some clips of foreboding in films. We'll then move on to think about foreboding in the extract that you've been looking at this week. We'll then move on to do some writing together. And the final thing for you to do today is to attempt to do some writing on your own. So, when we're thinking about foreboding, what is it? It's a feeling that something bad will happen. So it says on the dictionary definition, it's fearful apprehension. It implies that something bad is going to happen. And some synonyms for foreboding are worry, fear, dread, alarm, intuition, feeling, a vague feeling, an inkling, a warning, an omen. So it's this idea, this sense that you get that something bad will happen. Now, I've got a clip for you to watch from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. If you click on the YouTube link there, you should be able to play it. And what I want you to think about when you watch is, where is the foreboding in this clip? How is foreboding created? So is it something that a character says? Is it their facial expression? Is it the music, the lighting? Is it characters' reactions? And what do you predict will happen based on the clip? So if you have a watch of that now and then write down your answers to the 3 questions that are on the slide. Okay. Now you've watched the video, I want to think about examples of foreboding in other films. So in Disney films, vultures are used to show a sense of foreboding. So I want you to think about whether you've seen any vultures in Disney films. And based on the image that is on the slide, how do you think these creatures would create a sense of foreboding? What is it about them that you think signals that something bad is going to happen? Okay, I want us to go on to think about what foreboding is in the extract from I Used to Live Here Once. You should have read this in previous lessons, so what I'm going to do now is give you the opportunity to have a reread of that, and then I want us to focus specifically on the extract which is on the screen. So if you need to go back and reread the story, just pause the video at this point and then we'll read this specific part together. Right, we'll now go on to read this extract together. The grass was yellow in the hot sunlight as she walked towards them. When she was quite close, she called again shyly. Hello? Then, I used to live here once, she said. Still, they didn't answer. When she said for the 3rd time, hello, she was quite near them. Her arms went out instinctively with the longing to touch them. It was the boy who turned. His grey eyes looked straight into hers. His expression didn't change. He said, Hasn't it gone cold all of a sudden? Do you notice? Let's go in. Okay, what I'd like you to do is read the extract one more time on your own this time. And what I'd like you to do on your paper is just summarise what is happening in this part of the story. So pause the video, reread what is happening in this short section. Okay, now what I'd like you to do, now you should have read it twice, is underline anywhere where you think the writer creates a sense of foreboding. If you're not able to underline, what I'd ask you to do is just copy down any specific words or phrases, just 2 or 3, where you think the writer is creating a sense of foreboding, a sense that something bad is going to happen. Okay, I want us to look together, and I've picked out some examples of where I think foreboding's created. So let's see if you picked out the same ones. I picked yellow in the hot sunlight. Still, they didn't answer. His grey eyes looked straight into hers. Hasn't it gone cold all of a sudden? Do you notice? Let's go in. Well done if you picked out any of those examples. I want us to have a think about how we might analyse these together. So I've put together on the screen 3 examples of quotations which I think create a sense of foreboding. So what we've got with yellow in the hot sunlight, I've picked out specifically yellow here because what I think is that it has connotations of something being dehydrated, something being dead and lifeless and scorched. If you think about the grass at the minute, because we've had lots of hot weather, it's the same. So we're thinking about these connotations of things being very dehydrated, things not being able to grow, and I think that creates a sense of foreboding. Next, we've got his grey eyes look straight into hers. And if we're thinking about the boy's grey eyes, we might think of them as being quite soulless and menacing, staring at her. Again, coming through, we've got this foreboding. And then finally, we've got this short, simple sentence of, let's go in. And I think that's very eerie and it builds suspense for the reader because we want to know what happens as she enters. Right, on the slide, I've now got an example paragraph that I've written to the question, how does Rhys create a sense of foreboding, a feeling that something bad will happen here? So I've written a piece paragraph based on this, and what I'd like you to do is have a read through at how I've set this out and how I've modelled this. So pause the video at this point. Okay, so you've seen that I've made my point, I've given my quote, I've explained that the grass is dry and dying, but then in my zoom, I've really zoomed in on yellow and thought about what that connotes and how that links to it being quite foreboding. So what I'd like you to do, the final thing for today, is I'd like you to now have a go at this on your own, and you can flick back to my example paragraph and where I've exploded quotations if you need to use those to help. So I've put on the board some sentence starters for you to use, and please feel free to use them if you need to. What I'd ask you to do is do this twice. So have a go at trying to write 2 paragraphs answering the question. If you need any help or anything at all, please just email your teachers and we will all be there ready to help you. Once you've finished this from today, I'd ask you to submit your work to Teams if you can. Thank you for watching.